Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Matthew Wilson, director in the movie Awesomest Christmas Ever. Join us as we delve into Matthew's insights into this movie and the challenges of filming it. Thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
It's a pleasure. So, can you tell us a little bit about the Awesomest Christmas Ever?
Sure, yes. All right. So awesomest Christmas ever. And I know that word, awesomest. I think it's not even really a word, but it's something that I hear kids say. So it is the story of a kid who finds out just before Christmas that his parents are actually planning to get a divorce. But they've not told him. They don't know that he knows. They're spending Christmas trying to pretend like everything's still normal because they don't want to ruin Christmas. So he realizes he's got a short window here. He's got about 6 days where everyone's still pretending like everything is normal, or he can see if he can try to fix it, if he can try to get them back together so that they can all stay together. And so he does all sorts of fun, crazy stuff. He involves his best friend. He ends up involving a friend who's a girl who's into romance books and all that kind of stuff. And they just do a lot of all the crazy stuff they can think of to try to get these parents to reunite.
Great. And what initially attracted you to this incipit of this movie, or how did you imagine it?
Sure, yeah. Well, I'd always loved Christmas movies. I mean, I grew up watching Christmas movies, loved, Home Alone and It's a Wonderful Life and all that like great stuff, and I had done some Christmas stories of my own. I'd done like a few Christmas plays for my church, which was just so much fun. But I not yet made a Christmas movie, and I was trying to think about what, I would want to make if I did something like this. And there were some similar stories out there in sort of Christmas movie land that have sort of a similar setup where particularly where a kid wants mom and dad to reunite. A lot of them that I saw, though, the thing that kind of bugged me about them is that the kids didn't seem to have a lot of agency in the story. That really what had happened is somehow Santa Claus would fix it all and brought the parents back together. And the kids weren't really involved. And I was thinking, like, what if we kind of put the kids in charge? What if the kids are in the driver's seat? What might happen if it was up to them? And then also with the Christmas movie world, like there's quite a few now. Probably the most popular type of Christmas movie is the romance Christmas story. I know I'm from seeing your channel there. I can see you're a fan of such movies, and you've had a lot of cool people from those movies be on there. And so I thought, well, what if like rather than it's something exactly like that, what if for the parents in this story, what if they had a story that started like that? In the story, we allude to the fact that like they had this picture perfect romance like back in the day, and that's how they got together and ended up getting, married. But like, what if they had that initially, but now we find them at a place where it's fallen apart, where times are hard and they're they can't they've lost kind of that thing that they used to have, and now the task for the kids try to how can we get them back to that? How can we get them back to the state where they're in love and they're happy together, or and even and can they? A lot of the journey for the kids is finding out that like, man, this is hard. A lot of it explores sort of the differences between maybe what the kid idea is of what it takes for two people to get together and fall in love versus the reality of it. And that's where the hope is that where a lot of the comedy would come from is these kids, doing all this crazy stuff in hopes that, it's going to get these people together. But I'll trying not to do any spoilers here, but throughout the story, it does kind of backfire from time to time, and the kids find that it's a little more complicated than they thought.
Great. And what do you think makes this movie so special and captivating? And what do you hope audiences will take away from watching it?
I think one of the things that makes the movie really special that I think people are going to latch onto is the performances by the lead kids. They were just so great. They were so enthusiastic. They were both 10 years old. So it's Gus Howell who plays the lead Ollie, and then Ellison Pipe who plays the lead girl Katie. And both of them were just so jazzed about this. I mean, I've made several movies now. I've never made a movie with people who had as much enthusiasm as these kids who were just so excited to work on this every day. We shot this movie last year, almost right up until Christmas Day. We wrapped on December 22nd. So most people would like not be excited about working like all the way up that close until Christmas, but these kids were just so jazzed. They were having just such a fun time, and they just brought so much energy to their performances. So I think people are really just gonna come away going like, "Wow, those kids were so much fun to watch."
Yeah. So, and what was it like working with the rest of the cast and crew on set, besides of
Uh,
the
it, it was, you know, it was they were great as well. I work a bit differently in that, you know, I'm not working with a very big budget, and so like th things are a little scaled down. So because of that, we have to go pretty fast. So I can be like a little intense sometimes when we're shooting because it's just like there's no downtime. It's just like if we're gonna get this movie done in on schedule here, which is then the only budget I have requires us staying on schedule. We got to move fast. We got to go. But they were great though. Everyone just kind of paid attention and listened and was willing to just keep going and plow through. Especially I think on the nights I'm thinking of one night in particular where we were shooting outside and we went pretty late. I think we went to like maybe 11 p.m. or midnight or so, and it was cold out. I'm in the Seattle area here, so it doesn't get like super like bitterly cold, but still when it gets down to like the mid 30s, like no one wants to be outside making a movie in those conditions. But we had a lot of shots that we had to get through that night. But the cast did it. They were great. They had great attitudes. The crew as well. I work with a very small crew. The crew on this one was me and then just two other people. I had my co-producer Stephanie, and then well, we had two different sound people, but at different times. So only one sound person at a time. Mostly it was Ross Smith, who I'd worked with before, and then also for a few days, this guy Elijah Carnazzo. But again, just like great attitudes. I think everyone was just excited to be working on a Christmas thing, and so everyone just kind of just worked on it right up until almost Christmas Day.
great. And what can you tease about this movie storyline?
Well, my hope is that it goes places that are, a bit unexpected. My hope is that it will not be predictable, that there will be some genuine surprises while still having that, Christmas fun and Christmas charm. I know, like say, like the Hallmark movies and like the Christmas romance movies, like they're so popular, they're so loved, and yet for me, every one of them, it's like you kind of know what's going to happen right from the beginning, right? And then that's exactly what happens. My hope always in telling a story is that you don't know what's going to happen next, but you want to know. Like we're invested, right? Like, whoa, where's it going to go? How's this going to resolve? The hope is that there's some genuine mystery and excitement there, but and still engagement too, right? You want people to be like focused and be like, oh, I really want to know, how this is going to end. Not like I really want to know when this is going to end. Like we want people to be engaged. So my hope is that people would be, just caught up on this wild ride of the kids going through this and finding out, that it's harder than they thought, but they keep trying and keep going anyway. Throughout the kids end up finding some differences amongst themselves as well, and there's some difficulty there of just working out relationships in their own world, let alone trying to figure out how to deal with a parent's romance. They've got their own relationships they're trying to sort out as well that also create a difficulty and challenges for them. Yeah.
Great. And what was your favorite scene or moment while filming this movie?
My favorite. Okay, it's hard to. It's hard. I saw this in your other interviews. I knew you were going to ask this. So I was like, oh man, it's like picking which one do you like, the most because you love it all. But I think my favorite moment is sort of what we were calling one of our storybook sequences, where the lead girl in the movie, Katie, the idea is that she loves the romance books and those stories, and she's got a library full of them. So when they're trying to come up with ideas of how to get the parents back together, she often will reference a story from that library. And well, actually, there's two different moments where she references stories from that world. And then when we do like a sort of flashback or like a storybook sequence to look back on those stories, it's also the same actors who play Katie and Ollie who were in those sequences. So it's the kids. So we see these kids doing these funny little romantic moments. And there's two different ones where the moment ends where they're running towards each other on the beach and they grab each other and embrace and they're dancing around. And we filmed it out at the Edmonds Beach nearby here on a day when the sun was just setting and it just looked beautiful. And it just looks like one of these like beautiful, gorgeous shots. And they're just like fun moments. So I think that was probably as far as my favorite moment in the movie. I think probably the first one when they get together and dance around there.
That's great. So, change of subject.
Okay.
What, what have been some of the most memorable projects you have worked on throughout your career and why for you?
Okay, I feel like they've all been memorable, like in their own way. But as far as I think for me, maybe one of the most memorable ones, and the one that I like going back and watching the most, was the very first one that I did, which is called The Umpire, and that was actually just what you call a test movie for it was for Amazon at the time. Amazon had started their studio system where they were doing kind of like an open call. Anyone could submit a movie or a script to them to have it be considered to be made with a bigger budget. So I basically made that movie with $0. I just got friends of mine together, and we, we shot it. And if you watch the movie, you can see that yeah, it was made for $0. I didn't have a lot there, um, but it was just so fun because I was just working out with people that I knew. It was a process of discovery of like making, because you had to make a full feature. It wasn't just like make a short film. It was like make the whole thing. And then after I finished it and submitted it there to Amazon, it actually won one of their contests, which was a big kind of confidence boost to me to be like, all right, like I seem to do well on this one. How could I do better next time? How could I, make it so next time it's not a test movie? Maybe there may be a little bit more than a $0 budget next time, and see how I can do better and better and better. Um, but I love going back and watching that one because I just see like, oh, like, I remember, number one, it was so long ago now, but also just like, I was working with friends and discovering all this for the first time, how to do this, how to make a movie.
Yeah, great. And the last question, can you tease something about your next projects?
That one, okay. I don't necessarily have the next one lined up yet. Some of it kind of depends on how this one does, to be honest. Like, because I mean, I have many, many ideas, and so depending on how this one does, if I'm able to somehow, maybe attract a company or an investor that wants to do a bigger one with a bigger budget, I've got ideas for those. If it looks like it's the next one is going to be something about, the same budget range, I've got ideas for that as well. So it's kind of like, well, we'll see, but it will be something. I have no plans of stopping making movies anytime soon. I plan to do this for as long as I'm able. So it'll be something. I don't have nothing, concrete yet beyond ideas, but it'll be something.
Great. So this is it. Make
All
sure,
right.
all of you, to catch Awesomest Christmas Ever on Amazon Prime Video from November 22.
Yeah.
And thank you, Matthew, to join us today.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure. And thank you all for watching. Bye.